Little, wat is 'n son besig?
No, but Andrew also don't have it, eh? Yeah, he's still in.
Yeah.
Use earplugs, Andrew.
Okay. Okay. Well, you just send it on.
Where's the other half of the guys?
Well, internet problems. I think Vince has got an issue at work, some machine or something.
Yeah, Shell can't.
Yeah, Shell's got a
Shell's got a
function.
function or something. A malfunction. Is the link posted, isn't it? Oh, here it is.
Lekker Jakes.
Lekker mal. Jy moet nie te hard wees op hy vanaand nie, hoor.
Nee, wel, ek sukkel jong.
Op hom saggie.
Hoeveel ouens is in die Bravo lobby? Okay.
Alright guys, we are officially live here at SARCO round and number 7. With me in the virtual commentary box I do have Ashley. He is in the chat party already. You can see that the guys have got their thumbs up, so we will be racing very shortly. To the guys, welcome. We're at the Circuit of Americas. Just remember, 40-minute race. Make sure you do have your fuel settings up and running. The weather will be a foggy to heavy cloud into clear. The tires will be getting extremely hot, so you might just need to do some tire management up front there. All thumbs are up, so we can now go racing. And while that lobby is loading, enjoy guys, and I'll be jumping into the chat party with Ashley. How's it, Ashley?
How's it, Dylan?
How are you doing? Are
Can
you
you hear
well?
me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome, awesome. I'm very well, thanks. And you?
To the guys on the stream, Theo, Maria, Gavin, and Michael Ellett, welcome. I actually raced go-karts with Michael Ellett a few years ago, and it's good to see him watching here at SARCO. Ashley, this track, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, the first sector is very twisty, and you have to take it very cautiously. Otherwise, if you get on those curbs, it's a ticket. So you will definitely spin the car around.
100% completely agree with you. That turn number 3 into turn number 4 is a little bit tricky. But I must say that once you get it right, just that feeling, oh man, it is so good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm looking forward to this shootout. Who are your favorites for this evening?
So I must say that the wild card would probably be Mal here. Is that I know I did some practice with him, and he's was basically staying at the back. He hasn't really showed his potential, but I do think that he might actually be a surprise here this evening. What is unfortunate is that unfortunately Scholl, he's not with us this evening. He had to go to a star function this evening. But if you just have a look at these current results, they would have had Scholl on top, and he was just under 40 points clear of Christopher. Then Jakes and Christopher, they're pretty close. Jakes in 3rd place with Bruno in 4th, Jacques in 5th place, and I do believe that he would have a great result here. Gerard here unfortunately is battling with Telkom. Andrew is with us in 7th place. Dane is in 8th. Vince has a breakdown at work, so he's unfortunately not here this evening. We had Durkee, he's in. Dupi is unfortunately not with us, and Ronaldo battling to get in. we do have Marshall and Jacques Racing. Jacques Racing unfortunately disconnecting out of our previous race, and he has scored 42 in one of the races, so he also has a potential to do well on this track.
Awesome. And we're not seeing much at the moment because the track's very foggy. You think it's going to affect the lap times with it being slightly cooler than we usually get at this track?
So surprisingly enough, I actually think that these temperatures are better because you're actually able to make the tires work a little bit harder for you. Whereas you'll see that we'll have the heavy clouds will come in, then it will go to 2 slots of clear. The track temperature is expected to get up to 60 degrees, and I promise you the guys are going to be driving on sponges.
Well, that's going to be interesting. And then what time do we expect that towards the end of the race?
So I went and I did a setup with a hot lap, and I managed to get a 125.2, but in some of the practices that I was in the lobbies with the guys is that they were getting into the 124s, and I know that on the Discord somebody had actually snuck in a 123.9. I do think that those times possibly would be earlier on in the race, but definitely not later on, not when the track temperature starts getting up.
Oh, I'm starting to feel nervous now because I was nowhere near those times. So.
Well, actually, this is exactly why we do split up the 2 different tiers. But I promise you, next season, come and drive with us in the first lobby. It all will be well. So Marius putting up a comment there saying, flat out Bruno, make those 8 laps you practice count. Well, we definitely know that Bruno is able to bring the magic even if he has only had 8 laps of practice. So the format for this evening is a 10-minute qualifying, then a 40-minute race. Fortunately only 9 drivers this evening. We will be driving the Bravo tier directly after this, and as mentioned, we do have Ashley Miley, who's in the commentators box with me. Unfortunately, Savvy are not available this evening, but it's always great to get a fellow driver in the commentary box and just talk about the racing.
Yeah, thanks once again for inviting me. I did have quite a bit of fun last time, and it was great to watch the Alpha Tier guys giving his horns at the last race. So I'm hoping expecting the same thing this evening.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. A little comment coming through from Maria Rodriguez, and that's the love of a mother. Thank you very much, mother, for coming and watching your son live on the stream. And yes, mother, we do need some rain. Unfortunately, there is no rain here, and fortunately for the drivers, they won't be expecting rain. So we see that it is only Marshall who's put up a lap time, and just on 5 minutes left to go on a 2:40. The time penalties on this track are brutal.
Yes, I noticed that too, Dylan. You have to be very, very cautious going around here to stay off the curb. Firstly, you're going to spin. As soon as you hit that curb, especially this section now where we see car number 15, if you touch that curb, your car will spin, and you possibly could end up in the wall. And that'll be a race over, definitely.
So where I actually had a little bit of trouble myself was just coming through turns 8 and 9. It's basically the end of sector 1, and you've got that little left-hander. And what I found is I was running just a little bit wide and touching that outside curb. And once you touch that outside curb, as you say, it's tickets. There's a wall on the inside, and that definitely is not a soft wall there. I'll end up getting suspension damage, or Bruno going a little bit sideways with him coming through turn number 4. You can see how he's really flicking that car into that corner. I don't know whether he'll be able to do that later on in the race.
I wouldn't tempt fate. Yeah, if you just to put the viewers in perspective, if you touch the curb and hit the wall, that
there is the corner I was talking about. That was it right there.
Yes.
Yes.
You basically be stuck in the pits for around about a minute, and that's basically your race over. So you don't want to do that. So I'm hoping, Dylan, that the fog is going to lift quite quickly in the race. Otherwise, it'll be difficult for the viewers to see what's going on.
So we might just have to just drive on board with some of the guys just for just a little bit, even if we go into some chase view. But I do believe that this fog will only be around for just on about 4 to 5 laps, and then things all should clear up. We've got just a comment here from Michael Elliott saying, "A small world. My dad worked with Derek." Now that is a small world, considering that I was actually racing karts with Michael possibly maybe even 8 years now.
Sure.
I've
So
had
how long have you been racing for, Dylan?
since meeting my wife. My father-in-law decided that he wanted to get some go-karts, so we joined the F4 Series Championship. We landed up running 4 karts, so we had 3 adult karts and 1 junior kart, and we did it basically as a team event. But since the team, or the family, started getting out of the karting, I've stuck around with myself and one of my mates, and yeah, we now have joined a team. So we're talking maybe 10 years I've been racing karts.
Sure. So that's a little bit longer than I have. I've only started, I suppose, in the last 2 years. I've got involved with the local community, the local karting club. But I must say that it almost seems like this project car is a lot more tricky than what it is racing in real life.
Most definitely. Now see, Andrew, he's just improved his time, so he's moved himself up into 5th place, but it is Bruno that still holds that top spot with a 124.6, Jake's in 2nd with a 124.7, and then we see that there's just over 1.5 seconds next to Dirkie in 3rd place. That's what we were waiting for, Christopher, also known as a Foldover, the names that some of the guys land up getting, and I believe that we're actually working on your new nickname now, but we won't mention it just yet. Christopher does a 2:24.4, that's 0.222 of a second quicker than Jake's.
Yeah, that's a good time. That's a really good time.
So that is 0.8 of a second quicker than I was able to go around here. So that is really, really competitive.
I'm just trying to go on board with him, so trying to pick up some tips here, because
definitely.
I'm way off the pace. Definitely haven't done my homework.
So there is 10 seconds left of this session. So as the guys will cross the line now, that's Chris a little bit wide. I don't think that lap will now count, so we might just see him jumping straight into the pits. There he goes. He's come off that lap. So Andrew, he's still on the track with Dane. Dane actually not been able to put in a lap yet. Well, that's Andrew getting it very wrong going into turn number 13.
Let's see if we can get time out of Dane.
So this is Dane. He's now going into 13 himself. So this was where Andrew would have actually just spun it completely. I see Dane is staying a little bit wider, and now brake, turn in, back on that power. See, he's quite hesitant on that power, where in this car, on that specific corner, you were actually able to turn it and get that power on nice and early, and as long as your line was right, that you actually wouldn't touch that outside curb. Because all the lines that I was using, I was definitely staying off those curbs, because this car does not like the curbs.
No, I agree with you there.
A little bit tight there for Dan. I'm not sure whether that will give him a time penalty. Rudy, he's jumped on saying going to be a good race. I cannot wait. Don't worry, Rudy, we are still waiting for you guys, the Bravo tier. So that is the qualifying and now officially over. So Chris, he is in front with Bruno second, Jakes is in third spot with Dirkie in fourth. That is Jacques in fifth with Andrew sixth. Andrew always in his sixth place. But I think what he's done is actually curse himself there, because he keeps saying, I'm always in sixth. Jacques Racing, he's in seventh. I'm expecting him to get quicker as the race goes on. And then we have Marshall in eighth with Dane down in ninth place and not being able to get in time. And I think that's all due to those time penalties. So we'll just push the continue button. That will then send the guys into the 2-minute holding. While we're waiting for the drivers to just make sure that their final setups are set and all their final times, all their settings are done, tire pressures are set. I think maybe let's start from here. That's a great idea, just so we can see the whole field going into turn number 1. And turn 1 is always an extremely tricky corner, and this track, because it is so wide, it narrows down extremely quickly.
So that first corner is going to be the test day. Everybody can get around it without any incidents. That's going to be the question.
What is your theory, Ashley? Do you hold your spot, hold your line, or do you dive for that apex?
Well, you do not want to make contact with anybody because you'll definitely get bombarded with posts and some comments from the guys afterwards. You want to keep it tidy as possible and just make sure that you don't take anybody out and take yourself out at the same time. And there we go. I think just keep it on the chase mode, otherwise we're just going to get the cameras moving around too much. So it is green lights and away we go. Oh, that was Bruno bogging off the line there. So we see that it's actually Jacques, or that Dirkie, that's moving up right alongside him. We're going to be side by side going into turn number 1. Didn't look like there was any contact there, so that's really good to see. Jakes, he's now taken the first spot going into turn number 2 with Christopher in second, Dirkie third, Bruno on the top spot. He's unfortunately now dropped it down into 4th place. But you must just be patient through the sector. The slipstream benefit that you're getting in these cars down that back straight is absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of overtakes going into turn number 12. So on board with Dane down in 9th place, but everyone keeping together. So that's really good to see. No one's really gone off. That's Jacques taking a move on the inside of Marshall. Bruno just having a little look. Whoa, that was Jake's nearly cutting across. Well, that's actually, sorry, Christopher nearly cuts across the front of Dirkie. And nice to see that Bruno also saw that was going to happen, so he came off the power a little bit just to allow Dirkie safely through there. Message from Yaku De Beer saying good luck Dirkie, so we know exactly who he's supporting. Here into the tricky turn 12, Bruno right up behind Dirkie as they head into now turn number 13. A very tight corner here, but once you get this right, you can keep that power on all the way through 13, then it sets you up nicely for this turn number 15. Let's see how that corner just tightens up on you, and that is Jake's getting a lot of pressure from Christopher in 2nd place. So on board with Jake's, or on board with Christopher, you can see how close these two are. Jake's taking a lot of curb on the inside there. Will Christopher have a look to the inside? Oh, a little tag just to let him know that he's there. See how Jake's really threw that car into that corner. It was actually nice to see how the suspension was actually working there. Oh, we have someone in the pits.
So this is Dirkie. Looks like he's doing a drive-through.
Oh, that definitely looks like a drive-through.
So that might have been why he, or how he got up to the front so quickly. This is Jacques Racing. Jacques Vermeulen, and now putting pressure once again on Marshall, and Marshall really holding his own here. Andrew ahead of him in 5th place with Jacques in 5th, Bruno's in third, Christopher in second. Oh, that's a little tag there.
You can see if you just fall out of rhythm there, how the slow right down. You gotta find a rhythm with this track.
And that's exactly what it's about, because you can even see how Andrew started pulling away now from Marshall. So Marshall got a little bit out of shape, and that put Jacques out of shape. So they've now lost probably half a second on Andrew just through that little rhythm section.
Ooh. Guys swimming around there trying to...
So Christopher's trying to get that slipstream from Jakes, but Jakes is having absolutely nothing of it. But the theory is, by weaving, are you not actually going slower? So all you're doing is you're giving the guy behind you an advantage to actually catch up.
Oh, I just saw Bruno there just sticking to his line and actually watching all the entertainment in front of me.
And I must say, I'm a big advocate of that. Is I would rather keep that car going straight, go on the shortest line on the track than weaving around there.
I agree with you there.
But Christopher, 0.01 of a second behind Jakes. He is really bringing this challenge to Jakes. Coming out of turn number 18, he'll go to the outside. So Jakes will have a compromised line going in there. So Christopher should have the quicker line. Will he move to the inside now? No, Jakes goes defensive. So all he's doing is allowing Bruno now to catch up behind him. And I won't be surprised if Bruno actually gets the toe up the hill and is able to make a challenge into turn number 1. So we have about 5 minutes left of this fog, and then the track will start clearing up, guys. So please just be patient. Oh, these three are so close. This is really the type of racing we wanted to see. There's Jakes in second, Jakes in first, Christopher's in second, and Bruno in third place. And these three drivers separated by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a little bit wide. That's gonna... Oh, that completely confused me. I didn't realize we were actually in a different car. That's a much better shot there, because at least we can see who we're following and who we're watching.
It keeps changing. What is it? It's got a roof over here.
So just set it to chase, and we'll have all three of them in the shot. Oh, Jakes is a little bit untidy through there, and we're going to have a huge contest now going into turn number 12.
Will we see a weave down the straight?
I almost want to now, just to watch the snake of these front runners just moving about. Bruno will just give a show on the inside. We can see that the fog is now starting to lift up, so we can start going to the side of the track. So that's absolutely fantastic. So we had 8 minutes of fog. Now we'll have some heavy cloud, and in the next 10 to 12 minutes, the sun will come out, the clouds will go away, and the track will start heating up. It's Bruno now on the outside, trying to find a way around Christopher. And I'm seeing there's a nice little battle happening there in 7th and 8th place. That is Dane starting to close up on Marshall. So we'll definitely just keep my eye there and just jump back there. And this is the battle that I was noticing. Will Dane have a look to the inside here into turn number 19? No, he's not able to. And I must say the runoff there is very, very tricky, because if you side by side into turn number 1, you can see Jakes, he will hold that first place with Christopher, and Christopher, he is now gone into first place ahead of Jakes. Now, will this be the opportunity for Christopher to start opening the gap, or will he just be pulling Jakes around as well as Bruno behind him?
I think we're going to have the same thing happening here, Dylan, because of the toe effect. It's easier to follow here than to lead, that's for sure.
Because interestingly enough, just looking at the lap times, is that it was actually Bruno who was the faster of the three. And
Well, you see,
Christopher,
he's not
he
really
got the
fast,
advantage. Yep.
Jake
wonder
was
if
going
he's-
defensive most of the time.
Wonder if he's just going to be biding his time, waiting for a mistake, and then make his opportunity then. Well, there's Jake's having a little dive on the inside, so that was a great
Oh,
move,
there
but he
you go.
obviously
That's
he was a little bit
exactly
slow
what Bruno
there.
was waiting for.
So you
I
can
think
see
that's
that.
exactly what Bruno was looking for. Sorry, man. Still
No, 100%, but that's exactly what had happened, is because Jake's had compromised his line. Christopher had a much quicker line, and it gave him a little tag on the rear. As they now come into turn number 12, Jake's will have a look to the inside, and he will... Whoa! Christopher going around the outside. So that's the change of the position. So Bruno now leads with Christopher in second and Jake's down into third. And that's Jacques in the background. He's only 3 seconds away from this little battle. Now they come through this very, very long right-hander. Turns 16, 17 and 18, and the tires later on will be screaming through here. Well, Jake's have a look to the inside. Once again, Christopher's exit was compromised, so they're going to go side by side, but Christopher will have the faster exit. But what I think Jake should have done is just slow down a little bit and then get that onto the power quicker, which would have helped him get back up the hill. Well, Christopher's wide once again, and Jake's is right there now. But with these two fighting, all they're doing is they're just letting Bruno get away. You can see between Christopher and Jake's, they both did a 2:27s, where Bruno did a 2:25, and that's definitely going to be helping Bruno in his cause here this evening.
Yeah, and you can see Christopher's continuously looking in his mirrors, and that's why he's making so many mistakes, and it's slowing them both down. There he goes wide again.
So that's a mistake by Christopher. Just make sure you see Jake's on your outside, but Jake's decides to slow it down. Let Christopher get back into line.
There's just a knock-on effect, and you see Bruno just managed to pull away another second.
You can see the different lines between Christopher and Jake's. He's getting a much better exit, and I think Jake's needs to start thinking about taking that wider line. Looks like we do have some penalties that have come up. That's Andrew and Marshall. They've been awarded some time penalties. Not too sure where they would have got them, but you can see that they do have the little red marker. So later on, once they complete the race, there will be additional time added to their completed lap time.
And you can see Jock's starting to catch the back of Jake's and Christopher as well now, so that's going to throw another little span in the works.
Yeah, he
He
has
was
been
a
going
second quicker
a second quicker,
than
exactly.
the last.
So that is Jacques, the TTR driver. He really has impressed me in this championship. He has gone a lot quicker, and he's definitely fighting with the guys higher up in the order here. In the background, that's Andrew in the green Mamba colours. He's currently in 5th place. And Dirk's starting to close that gap on Jacques Racing. Jacques Racing has been battling. You see, he's only been doing 2:27s.
So I wonder what tyres you went for. But I'm sure he's losing grip somewhere. Or should I say tyre pressure? Because I think that's going to be the decider of this race today. The person who's chosen the best tyre pressure.
Well, all I can say is specifically for this race, you're going to want to be preserving those tyres, so that tyre pressure must be as low as possible to try and not let them heat up. But going to 60 degrees, I definitely think there's going to be some more drama happening later on in this race. as we approach 26 minutes left. We are on lap number 6. And we are expecting just on about 18 to 19 laps. We definitely won't get 20, so possibly just sneak in at 19. So there's Jacques Racing. He's gone into the pits. His pit crew don't seem very happy to be there. They definitely are glitching out. And I see that, just looking at that again, there's a Marshall. He's actually gone ahead of Dane. It was Dane that was ahead. Well, the camera got a little bit confused there. It looked like Jake's rear was getting a little bit untidy there.
Well, the gaps between the leaders have spread out a bit, and I suspect it's because of the change in the track temperature.
What I do find is surprising is that Jake's has been staying on that 226, but both Bruno and Christopher are now 225s. So now the question is, will there be some tyre management done just to bring those lap times down to allow the tyres to cool, or do you let them heat up and just give it all you got until the guy behind you has to start pushing as well?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting last 5 laps or so, I reckon.
Because once we get down to the 20 minutes, so at halfway, we will have full clear weather. You can see there are still some clouds around, so the track temperature should be close on about 40 degrees now, but we are expecting it to get to 60, and these tires are going to start getting extremely I was going to say sloggy, but I don't think that's the right word. Snotty.
Well, they'll start graining, I suppose, is the...
Not only that, is that the tyre wear has been set to accelerated, so every time these guys are going into a corner at that heat, they're going to be taking off layers of the tyre life. And I'm not sure whether there have been any drivers that have done the full simulation in the temperature and actually realize that they might actually have to pit.
Wow, that would be interesting.
So first, second and third is currently in shot. That is Bruno, who leads and 224.4 with a 224.3, 224.8. So these guys are definitely picking up that pace. So that was nearly a second quicker than the previous lap. And there's Jacques with a 226.7. And it seems like Andrew's just got himself comfortable in that 5th place. With Marshall in 6th, Dane is in 7th, Dirkie, he's in 8th place. Unfortunately, it looked like he had jumped the start, so had to go for a drive-through. And Jacques down in 9th place. We saw him going into the pits. So this is Jacques, well, Malmour, as what his original PSN name was. Currently in 4th place. It'll be interesting to see what his lap time is compared to the 3 guys in front. So he crosses the line and he does a 2:27, so he's gone 0.4 of a second slower than the guys in front. That's so interesting, is that on the 224.4 for Bruno, that's a 125.1, 125.1 for Christopher. So it seems like the lead car is almost determining the pace.
Yeah.
So a little message here from Yaku saying, why did Dirkie need to go through a drive-through? Yaku, the only thing that we could think of, because he did get a great start, was he actually got a drive-through penalty, which means he probably jumped the start. And that would have been why he had to go in, because we saw that he didn't stop, he just drove straight through. That is the only thinking. what we should do. Yep, there's confirmation from Marius. Jump start. Thank you very much, Marius. So this is currently the battle for 6th and 7th place. We're on board with Marshall.
Oh, there goes someone.
Oh, that's Dane into the wall. I unfortunately missed that.
You probably just touched the curve there and then swung around.
You can see some damage there, so I'm assuming that he's going to have a suspension damage on the front of that car as well as some front bumper, but we'll see once he's driving in a straight line. If the car starts pulling to one side, we'll know that he's got some damage. We battle to get around this turn number 12. We can see how the wheel is just being adjusted ever so slightly, so he definitely has some suspension damage. So now the question is, does he hang on like this for the rest of the race, or does he decide just to come in and actually drive a corrected car? Christopher closing the gap now on Bruno. Christopher gone 0.3 of a second quicker than Bruno that time round, but they're up into the 25s again. And Jake's now 3 seconds behind the race leader, so he's starting to just, I'll say, fall off the pace. But if you look at the lap times, the three of them are doing just about the same lap times.
Yeah, you must have made a mistake or something to fall so far behind. Well, it's not that far behind, but it's still, you sort of like lost pace with the front runners, and I suppose he's also lost a toe from Christopher.
Yeah.
Which makes a big difference around here.
So we are 20 minutes into this race, so we are currently halfway. And if you have just joined us, just drop us a message, say hi. But Bruno, he currently leads with Christopher in 2nd place. Jakes is in 3rd with Jacques in 4th. Andrew in 5th place. Marshall's in 6th with the Durkee moving up the order in 7th. And I see Dane has now gone into the pits. So he has probably decided that he'd rather just fix that damage. And then we have Jacques racing down in 9th place. So there's Jacques. We see that he's also got himself a little bit of damage, but that might have been from earlier on, and that might have been why he was actually in the pits in the first place. So Christopher was within 1 second of Bruno. He's lost 0.6 of a second now. So I'm sure once the guys cross the start finish line, we'll start seeing the difference in those lap times. Race leader Bruno crosses the line and he does a 2:24.5 versus a 2:25.3, so 0.8 of a second. I was spot on.
Yep. What's happening with this battle
So
here?
that's Durkee now closing the gap onto Marshall. Ooh, that was very close, but Durkee got a much better drive coming out there, out of that last corner, turn number 20.
Snaking down the
Down that
straight.
main straight, and this first corner is absolutely fantastic. I really do like it, because you're braking on an uphill and you're allowed to brake so much later. That's Durkee going around the outside, so it puts him on the inside here into turn number 2. So pretty straightforward overtake there for for Dirkie. But I see that Christopher has found a second on Bruno.
Yeah. I wonder if Bruno made a mistake. Well, we'll find out.
Well,
Lap times.
We'll definitely see it in the lap times. So now through turn number 13, and I'm sure the guys are starting to feel the tires. They're definitely going to be heated up now. You can see two very different lines by those drivers. Bruno went very wide, where Christopher chose the tighter route. Bruno staying very well off the curbs and not wanting to get involved with those curbs at all. So Christopher almost within a second now of Bruno. So Bruno crosses the line at 126.1 versus a Christopher 125.5. So I do think that Bruno has made a mistake, and then Jake's a 128, so he too made a mistake, so he's now dropped an additional 2 seconds behind the two front runners.
It just shows you how challenging it is for the drivers to concentrate for so long, especially around this circuit.
Oh, Jake's taking some curb. That is very brave. So in my... Oh, there's Christopher. He went off. So Christopher was obviously pushing to try and close down Bruno, and now Christopher down into third place. Just making that note on what lap that was, because in the post-race interview we can just ask Christopher what had happened there. Did he touch some of the curb, or was it the tyres that just decided to let go?
Yep, lap 11.
And I think Morris's comment is absolutely spot on. He said Bruno has got the hammer down. Morris, you are not wrong there.
Or at least he can breathe a bit, doesn't have to look in his mirrors anymore.
No, all he needs to do is just get those lap times in and bring it home. And now we're going to have a little battle where Christopher's going to probably start closing up on the back of Jake's, and Jake's and himself are going to start having a bit of a battle. And I wonder if Jacques will see that, and that will inspire him to pick up the pace once again. Just a comment from Amaria saying that those tires are starting to cook. I can only imagine. Remember, this track temperature will be at 60 degrees now. It is probably the hottest track temperature we've had in this championship to date, and I don't think that we will have any hotter. So the guys will definitely be fighting this car now. So 226.1 for Jakes versus a 232 for Christopher. It is Bruno that continues his pace at a 225. We could see that was looked very wide there by Christopher. I was just wondering whether he would just understeer, touch that curb and give us another spin.
Yeah, I think he's now trying too hard. As a result, he's making a lot of mistakes. He just needs to focus and keep his head down.
So we have 12 minutes left, so that will give us just on about 5 laps. Maybe 6 laps, just depending on where Bruno is once we get to that 10-minute mark. So we're coming up to probably one of the most harshest sections of this track. The guys will be braking harder into turn number 12. Then as you're going into turn number 13, you're turning right, and that starts heating up the left hand side tires. So you see you've got a double right-hander into this left-hander, then you've got the 3 right-handers back to back, and that's really going to start working those tires. Christopher, do you Ashley, do you prefer a wider line there, or do you like to keep it up against the curbs?
I try to stay away from the curbs as far as possible.
Fair enough. So in my hot lap video, what I actually did was I held the line in the middle of the track as we went through the Pirelli, and it was actually going middle of the track through turn number 16 and turn number 17. It was only when I was getting to turn number 18 was I then actually really going right up against that inside curb, not touching it, but getting nice and close there.
Yeah, I was trying to keep to the middle of the track and then just let the car sort of drift out to the curb, but man oh man, just don't touch that curb.
So just message here from Maria, where's the yellow car? Maria, the yellow car is right in front. Bruno has managed to pull away from Jakes and Christopher. Christopher is now a second behind Jakes, but Bruno is now up ahead in front. That is Dane, I believe, that Bruno will start catching up. So Dane will move out of the way, just let Bruno pass him, because Dane is effectively now being lapped. See Dane just moving out of the way, allowing a clear track for Bruno to go past. Actually, if we can just jump back to Jakes and Christopher, because they are going to be having a battle here coming into turn number 12. So 0.3 of a second. Now you can see how long this straight is. On the brakes, turn number 12. It looks like Jakes went a little bit wide, so he out-braked himself, which has allowed Christopher to get right up behind him now. Christopher having a little look on the inside. Will he try the dive here into turn number 13? But what I think you should do is just stay right up behind Jakes, get through this section, then get a great run out of just a little bit here. I don't want to move to the inside in 3, 2, 1, go. Jakes knows he's there, going to the brakes, and he unfortunately cannot contest that position. And Christopher now moves up but loses the rear, so that's going to allow Jakes to get that place back. Great overtake there by Christopher, but unfortunately not being able to make it stick, and Jakes fights one more lap.
Yeah, you
Jakes
just couldn't get the power down there.
Yep, you can see he did have to take a few bites of the wheel. Christopher right up behind him. I'm still not sure how these two are not touching. Yeah, through this is the curve that you don't want to be on. That's the wall that on the left hand side that Dane ended up hitting.
Yep.
So two very different lines, and I think that it will actually be Christopher will get the better exit. You can see his lines are a lot wider, which means he's going quicker than Jakes. So down this back straight, which in the Formula 1 series actually has a DRS zone. But I don't think he's been able to get close enough to make a dive here into turn number 12. I just hope that Dane sees the two of them coming, but I'm sure he will move out the way.
Unfortunately, with the gear ratio, you actually on the limiter for a good part section on the end of the straight, and that kind of levels it all out. So you won't be able to get the slipstream unfortunately.
With Christopher now having a look to the inside. Will Jake see him there? Yes, he does. Christopher almost forces his way through. But now does Jake slot in behind him, and he gets the slipstream up the hill on the start-finish line. So Jake's line was a little bit compromised there. Dane just getting well out of the way of this. He wants absolutely no part of this. And there's Bruno, you can see in the distance. So he's now on his 15th lap. So the race leader Bruno, with 5 minutes left to go, he's got himself a 5-second gap over the second and third place drivers of Christopher and Jake's. Jacques, he's in 4th place with Andrew a very, very lonely 5th. The Dirkie, he's recovered after his jump start, and he's now in 6th place with Marshall in 7th. Jacques Racing, he's moved up into 8th place with Dane in 9th position. So 3 laps left of this race here in the Alpha Tier. We will go into a post-race interviews, and then with that we'll then get these drivers out. We will be able to go back in and get the Bravo Tier in. And if there are any of the Bravo Tier drivers other than Ashley on the stream, say how's it, and we'll definitely see you guys within the next like 7 to 8 minutes. We're really looking forward to that race as well.
I'm hoping this time Craig can join us. It'll be an interesting race.
Yeah, and I actually went back and I was watching the previous races stream to say that there hasn't been yourself, Craig and Theo in the same race, because I think it was you that had disconnected.
Yes, that's right. I think we only had one battle together at what's that German track, I think it is.
In Oschersleben.
That's the one.
That was.
I was just hoping that you would say it.
Okay. But Jake's, I see, he's fighting back on Christopher's. I'm not sure whether Christopher's burnt up those tires trying to get around Jake's. But Jake's is not letting him get away. And I still can't believe how much of that curb Jake's is taking on the inside.
Getting away with it, yeah.
So they cross the line. They're now on their 16th lap. Bruno now 5 seconds away, but you can see that Jake's actually went faster than Christopher by 0.4 of a second. Bruno is definitely now just trying to get this car home. His pace is now dropped, which he has every right to do so, just about getting the car home, while these two battle out for an actual position. Oh! A big slide there for Jake's.
Oh no.
No, for Christopher. Oh my goodness.
Christopher. Sick. I think he was battling with the rears there, definitely.
With 2 minutes left. So that means there will only be 2 laps left of this race. It's so close there for Christopher. He had fought the hard fight to get himself back, and unfortunately losing that rear coming through turn number 4.
And I think he spun again.
Yeah, you got to remember that once those tires are heated up, when you're trying to get them going again, man, it doesn't matter what you do, it's like driving on ice.
Yep.
So 2 minutes left, so we will have 2 laps left of this race. So to the Bravo guys that are out there, get those PlayStations started if you're not practicing already. We will be going in the next 5 minutes or so. So a race leader, Bruno, coming through turn number 18. This is turn number 19. You will now
And
go
as
through
always,
turn number
Sorry,
20
saying
for
that-
his penultimate time. One more lap to go.
and as cool as a cucumber.
Cool as a cucumber here on this track. And Morris has just put up a comment saying, pushing too hard. He has cooked the tires. That is Jake's pressure. Morris, that is the Mamba fever right there. I see Jake's did a 228.4, so he seems to be battling with temperature now. And Jacques is now within 4 seconds of Christopher, so one more mistake and Jacques will find himself on the podium once again. Very tricky little section here, but as I mentioned earlier on, is that once you get that flow right, oh man, it is just so awesome. And that is very important in a race. It's just about getting your flow, going from the one braking marker to your turning point, your exit point, then just thinking about, okay, where's the next one, and just getting into that rhythm, and that definitely makes the race a lot easier. So here's Bruno now braking into turn number 11. Oh, I hear that there's a driver. It sounds like he was just trying to get himself going again. So I'm not sure if that was Dane or Jacques, because they do have a very similar livery. Christopher a 242.4, so you can definitely see the effects of having that spin, cooking up those tires. Race leader Bruno will come through turn number 20 for the last time. Flashing lights, a great drive there by Bruno. There's some flashing in the background there. I'm not sure whether it's Dane or Jacques, but some weaving action. That's, whoa, that was a little tag there, but Bruno here across the line in first place. Then we should have a Jake's finishing up in second. Oh, that car is not happy after that little tag, but it definitely did not look like that through the race. I'm sure Bruno will be having a little laugh there. That's a Jake's in second. Christopher will come home in third place with a Jacques in fourth. Andrew finishes in fifth place with a Dirkie in sixth. Just not sure how much of a time penalty Andrew got, but I see he's about 10 seconds ahead of Dirkie, so he should be okay there. And here we have a Marshall in a seventh place. So Marshall will come through turn number 20 for his last time. And some congratulations coming out. Excellent race, Bruno. Missed the consistency. Another comment from Maria. Congratulations, Bruno. Well done, Jake, from Marius. And absolutely, that was some great racing. So there are your final results. Bruno will win that race with Jake second, Christopher in third, Jacques in fourth place with Andrew fifth, Dirkie in sixth place. That's Jacques in fourth place, Andrew in fifth, Dirkie in sixth with Marshall in seventh, Jacques Racing in eighth, and Dane in ninth place. So I'm just going to jump into the lobby for the post-race interviews.
Play.
Nee man, ek wou nie hulle reis opgefok het daarvoor nie. Ek sien nie, ek is
Also
nie
guys, you are
so.
currently live on the stream, so to the families that are out there watching, apologies for that one. We didn't get the timing quite
Sorry.
right there. That's okay, Dirkie. Hi, Mom. She swears more than you, Dirkie, so it's okay. Let's start off with Dirkie. We had quite a bit of a surprise there when we saw you breaking off into the pits, and we just had some comments. Was that a jump start off the line there for you?
Yes, unfortunately it was. I was actually running to the loo, and when I came back I had a couple of seconds left and I was shaking and rushing and so I stuffed it up there. And I've decided to come in the first lap because I didn't want to stuff up the race in front. I'm not part of the championship really. So I just left them to enjoy the race, you know.
Right, awesome. And then Andrew, you in 5th place. That's a position higher than you would normally have given yourself, but very quiet there for you in 5th place.
Yeah, nice and quiet. I was trying to chase down Jacques. I saw Dirkie coming up from behind after a couple of laps and just took it easy. But I'm very happy to have beaten my 6th place. So for me, that's a win.
Exactly. Then we'll just move on to the 3rd place driver, Christopher. 2 spins. Were those tyres cooking out there?
Yeah, cooking, absolutely cooking, but stupid little mistakes from myself, just trying to push too hard in areas that I shouldn't have been pushing hard. But nevertheless, it was a good race with Jakes and with Bruno. Had lots of fun, flat out.
Flat out. Then to you, Jakes, a 2nd place for you. And I must say that the 2 guys behind you in the first opening stages were really pushing you hard. But some Mamba fever there for Christopher. Happy with your position in 2nd?
Absolutely. To be in front of a guy like Christopher, ending in 2nd place, yeah, that was quite thrilling for me. We had a good first 3 laps, me, Bruno, and Christopher. It was tough, man, and I couldn't hold them up, and at the end of the day they went past me, and luckily for me, Christopher made that 2 mistakes and gave me the 2nd place there. So actually I was lucky there.
100%. 2nd place is 2nd place. And then Bruno, great battles there for you, fighting with the 2 guys, but then at the end about 8 seconds clear.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to finally get one, you know? Happy for the win.
Yeah.
But great racing in opening laps. I just knew I had to be a little bit patient. I wasn't expecting to get them both in one go.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting maneuver there.
And then it was about breaking the toe, which I just about almost did. But then I think Chris made a mistake, and then that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But great race, lots of fun, and enjoyed it.
Cool, thank you very much. Guys, if you don't mind just exiting out of the lobby, and to those on the stream, we will be back in the next 2 minutes or so, just while we get the Bravo tier guys in. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Well done, guys.
Right. Ja, goed gezien. Shit.
Nou, people's got internet
yeah.
problems.
So we've 4 guys racing.
Oh well. Wow.
Well, at least I can't get 5th.
Where's Devon? Where's Mr. Alice tonight? Ronald or Roland? What was his name? Ronald. I haven't seen him for a while.
Where they are, and you'll wheel to wheel with these guys. If they're in a strong situation, their car is running well, and you're
I haven't heard anything from Jolan yet.
at that point, it's like playing high-speed poker. All you can do is try and gauge the profile of your.
Let's get a travel set.
Yeah, I think so too. He's in Joburg more than he is in Paris.
It's like sheep when he comes to Cape Town, he brings his PlayStation with sometimes. When he goes to work.
I'll do exactly the same.
Johnny Speed. Oh, why is Memo not racing anymore? Oh.
Hello?
Hello, Jocks.
Hello, Ash.
Hello, Jock.
Rudy.
Ja, wie gaat het?
Kevin, you.
Hoe gaan het doen?
Nee, wat alright. Bly die baan is verby. So,
Ja, nee. Ek is so inconsistent op daai baan as dit waar nie.
nee, oorblik. So. Ach, wat, hy is daar nog verby. So.
Nou is het ons beurt.
Maybe ask
missing?
some of the lobby 1 guys if someone is interested for another 40 minutes.
Ja,
Ja, good pain in them.
Yeah, no, they must just back off, or if they take the lead, they must not go. So yeah.
Don't know how easy that is, eh? When you
yeah,
get
that's
in the
gonna be
zone.
easy. No, I haven't seen it doing it before. Ja.
Well,
Yeah, why
I'm
not?
Yeah. A little bit more commentating. Because
They don't get to
otherwise
quality.
because the only commentating you'll be doing is there goes striker, spin again. Everybody else is doing so fine. Oh, there goes striker, spin again. Everybody else is doing fine.
Yeah, you'll have to pull my move in the last race.
Yeah, here it Ash Donington, that second race. I was quite upset, really. spend 2 days with you getting you up to speed and you mess it up. Waar's Marius? Hy sal seker nie kom ry nie. Ja, want hier vir 4 ouens gaan ek nogal moet erg rondhardloop met die kamera om reg om die baan te kom.
Ja.
Ja, daai twee daaronder, hulle sal voor wees en ek en Rudy sal agter battle.
Don't let me surprise you. I'm gonna join you guys here at the back.
Yeah, I think you have to concentrate.
Yeah, you have to concentrate on this track.
Dis nou 'n bietjie sleg.
Hulle sê seker hulle net seker maar ek kan nie weer ry nie.
Ja, private chat of open
Wat
chat.
Marius?
Wat gaan aan? Om te reis. Kijk guys, oeps, excuse, ek weet nie of ons op die lig is nie. Nee,
nog nie.
Welcome guys, we are live here in the Bravo tier, and as you can see we haven't had many guys that have joined us, so we're just trying to see if there's any of the Alpha tier guys that want to come and join us. We have Morris who's joined us. Thank you very much Morris for coming and have a little invitational race with us.
Yeah, listen Dylan.
We are quite sure you've done some practice, so welcome.
No man, I've done that couple of laps with you guys last night. I'm not prepared for this at all, but okay, I'll take it for the team.
Yeah.
Just give me 3 minutes. This was a bit sudden.
Alright, perfect. So to
Oh, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Alpha
2
tier
minutes.
guys, I have sent out some invites. If you want to come and join us, please jump back in. The Bravo tier have said please they want some more guys racing with them, so obviously the championship points will be the only ones that are counting, but come and have a race with us. So we'll just give it another 2 more minutes just to see if there is anyone that would like to join us. So Jacques, if you're able to just send out some of those invites again, please.
Don't think Andrew will join us. Let's try Toki.
I think I raise upon a platform.
Oh, okay. Maar hy sê saam met die charge, ek sien hy ry ook.
Yeah. Oh, that was Stephen trying to come back in. Stephen, you have some time, so please do give it another go. We see Gerard is saying, enjoy guys. Come on Gerard, get online, let us send you an invite and come racing with us. And you see, every time Stephen comes in, he gets disconnected straight away.
Okay, hello guys. All right. I had to please explain quickly, but yes, you're right.
Right guys, I'm just going to bring the Bravo starting tier coming. I'm just going to be sending some more invites quickly, and then we will get started in the next couple of minutes.
Come on, Stephen. Come on, Stephen. Come on, Stephen. Come on, Stephen. No license.
Didn't Peter say his electricity is coming on at 9? Maybe he can still join. Any past 9 already.
Peter. Hij is nog niet op. Hè.
Okay guys, we don't have anybody going who is joining us. We have sent out some of those invites, so let's get started.
Oh nee, Steven zei SARCO.
And then Jacques will just jump into
Okay,
the chat party.
Good luck. Laat ek hardloop na die eerste kamera toe.
Now, where is Jacques? I went straight past him. Okay guys, we unfortunately only have 5 drivers with 1 invitational. Morris has been invited to come and race with us. We unfortunately have lost Peter and Steven. Steven battling to get in, as well as Peter. And 2 other drivers unfortunately not online for us to get going, and Yolan has not been able to get back from Joburg in time. So there will be 5 drivers in the commentary box. I do have Jacques. Just want to make sure that he is with us. Hello Jacques. So is Jacques not with us? There comes Jacques right now.
Sorry. Hallo Dylan.
Hallo Jacques, welkom terug. And he was going to try and be very clever and say virtual commentary box in Afrikaans, but every single word that was required to finish that sentence was completely lost.
Okay.
So Jacques Vermeulen just put up a thing. Unfortunately, I put my tire pressure too hard, thinking it was going to help the tire temperature. Well, Jacques, I have sent you an invite. Why don't you jump into this race? Come and join us. I'm sure the guys will be more than happy to have you racing with us once again. We see Rudy. He's also jumped into the lobby, so we're up to 7. And just remember, guys, that there are only 4 drivers that are actually racing for the points here, and that is Theo, Rudy, Gav, and Ashley. We'll just bring up the current points, and they look as follows. So currently leading this championship is Ashley with Theo, that's Intrepid Striker, just 21 points behind him, so very much an open championship right here. Gavin is a further 15 points behind Theo and Rudy, so it is those 4 guys at the top that are currently fighting it out for this championship. Craig is unfortunately not with us. Rudy Yolan in 6th place. He's unfortunately having to travel back from Johannesburg this evening back to Paris, and he won't make it. Roy is out, Johnny is out, Peter does not have power this evening, and Stephen has been trying to get in. We haven't been able to get hold of Ronald. Devon is unfortunately away, and Kadonks, he should be with us, but he unfortunately is not. Let's just take away those Bravo results. Jacques Vermeulen, if you are there, come and join us in this race. You can have another crack at it.
Yeah, Dylan, I see Jakes and Dirkie joined us in this Bravo tier.
Yep.
I see has already got one grid place penalty, probably speeding inside the pits.
Yes, that's definitely not going to help his chances in this championship, because I'm sure Theo's really going to bring the fight to him this evening. What I actually am hoping is that the Foster guys will just help inspire the Bravo guys just to find some interesting lines and pull them around, because we definitely saw that in the first race with the likes of Jakes and Christopher essentially just towing each other around the track.
Yeah, no, I noticed that I couldn't even keep up with them, really. I tried my best to close the gap, but they were just towing each other around. But yeah, not one of my favorite tracks, I'm honest. So, but yeah,
and,
fourth ain't bad.
we were talking earlier on just to say that you might be the wild card for this race, and then you kind of just dropped yourself into those 126s, and that is kind of where you stayed for the night.
Yeah, to get a rhythm through that first little twist is no. And as soon as the track started heated up, the tires were cooking.
I can only imagine. And the guys that are currently on the stream, just remember that if you'd like to check out our social media, there's our Facebook link at the bottom. It is SARCO, the South African Racing Community Online. Otherwise, you can visit us in our new domain for sarcoracing.co.za, or on our YouTube channel at SARCO Esports, which is where you are currently watching the stream.
Live on E.
Tonight on E, will Theo be able to push the gap? Well, that's Rudy going a little bit sideways, coming through turn number 19. Let's just be careful, we might get a copyright infringement if we're using his voice. So Ashley is currently the fastest with a 2:25.2. Morris is in second place with Theo in third. Rudy's in fourth. The Dirkie a 2:36.9. That's now Jakes. He's dropped down with Gavin putting in a 2:30. 3 minutes left of this qualifying. And just remember, the championship is currently between Ashley, Rudy, Gavin and Theo. So that is Sol, Int, Gav and Rud. Or would that be Rude?
Almost rude. I think I'm just quickly gonna run to the canteen.
And enjoy that. And thank you,
I'll
Jean,
leave the
for
drone
joining us.
on hover, so we can just hover around, view quickly the drone. I'll be back now.
Cool. So less than 3 minutes to go, and Ashley is still the quickest driver on a 2:25.2. Morris in second place, Jakes in third, that is Theo in fourth with Rudy fifth, Gavin sixth, and Dirkie down in seventh place. So Ashley is currently leading this tier 2, although it's Theo going very sideways through turn number 19. You can see the amount of opposite lock that he put onto their car. And as you can see, the race is starting once again in the fog, but the fog will start clearing up on around about the third lap, and we will be able to get a much better view of the drivers from the outside trackside view. So that is Theo just currently going through the end of the first sector through turns 6, 7 and 8. That is Ashley, currently the top qualifying driver. 224.6, so Ashley really is showing that he has the ability to put in the quick lap times.
I must admit that time is actually not far off Bruno's qualifying time.
That really is a good time, but we do see that he does have that penalty on him, so that might just drop him further down, and that was Morris just returning to the pits. Steven has just jumped into the stream. Hey Steven, sorry man, we were missing you here on the track. Would have been awesome to have you back once again. Unfortunately empty and not playing fair with you, but glad that you are sitting back with your feet up, hopefully having a beer or two for this race.
I think we should have just mentioned these 3 guys inside there, just to leave the Bravo tier guys alone during the first couple of corners.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what will happen. They'll just, I'm sure they'll figure out as they're heading up into the first corner.
Yeah, I think I'm just quickly gonna go into that chat quickly.
Thank you kindly. So that is the end of qualifying, so we'll just wait for Dirkie and Gav to finish the laps that they're currently on, and we will go racing. We'll once again just go into their 2-minute holding lobby while the guys get their yes Stephen, we do. That's actually just here, my little monitor. Stephen put up a message saying, lol, do you have a camera watching me? So my little comment actually got him perfect. So nice one, Stephen. Just be careful what you do. I'm always watching. Okay, and 90 seconds left of the session. So that is now the qualifying over, so everybody has now completed their final laps. So that is Ashley a 224.6, and you can see him actually out qualifying Jakes, who was one of the Bravo tier drivers. Morris has come through special invitation on a 225.2 with Dirkie in third place, fourth place 225.8, then Theo 226.1, Gav at 228.6, and Rudy down in fourth place with a 222.9. Jacques, so you've given them the little message. What was it that you had told them?
I don't think they even heard me, so I'm typing a message for Jakes.
Right, 100%. Yeah, so we are currently in the ready up lobby. That's what it's called. I couldn't figure out the name, but that's exactly what it is. So the guys will be getting their settings, their tire pressures set. Jacques did say that he did get his tire pressure too high, and that's why he was struggling. So 7 drivers here, only 4 of them are competing for the actual championship points here. That was the sinking that we were waiting for. There's a confirmation. So Jacques, I don't know if you just want to jump to the chase cam on Rudy's car just so we can watch these guys coming up the track. You just jump back a few places. There we go. So everyone seems to be giving each other space as they are now coming to turn number 1. It's Morris having a little look on the inside. Everyone is through cleanly. That's Theo making a move on Morris. Morris now dropping down into 5th with Theo in 4th. Jakes leads ahead of Ashley. Ashley in 2nd place with Dirkie in 3rd. Ooh, Rudy taking a little bit of curb there. That's not what you want to be doing so early on in this race. Morris taking a little look on the inside of Theo, coming through turn number 6. Yeah, through this tricky number 7.
Oh, Marius.
And that was Marius. Just touching that curb, losing that rear. So he's now in 6th place. So he's just behind Gavin. So 3 wide into turn number 11. And it is Jakes who's away with Ashley in 2nd place. Dirkie, he's in 3rd with Theo in 4th, Gavin 5th, Rudy in 6th, and Marius down in 7th place. So as you can see, we still have a lot of fog that's around there. But what will happen is in the next couple of laps, the fog will start clearing and we will be able to see the outside view a lot clearer. And we see Jacques Vermeulen, he's jumped on and said, come on Theo, destroy them, so we can see exactly who he's supporting. So Jacques, if you can just let us know, what do these tyres actually feel like later on in this race? We'd love to hear from you. Just drop us a comment and we'll be able to share with the guys on the stream what it was that you were actually experiencing. So that is currently Theo. He's in 4th place, but currently lying 2nd in terms of the points, just behind Ashley. But he's not letting Jakes get away from him, so he really is putting in a great performance here. Oh, you've got to be careful of that curb on the outside there, Dirkie. Jacques, what was your feeling on these curbs in this track?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of paint they use, but it's really the simple, slippery type of paint.
So is it the actual surface, or do you think it's the unevenness of the curbs?
No, I think it's the actual surface. Even through those twisties, as soon as you touch them, you can feel the car going.
Well, that looked like that was Theo making a move on Dirkie. He might have tried to go around the outside of him. But Theo just moving in behind Dirkie.
Yeah, I think it can work actually to use the Lobby 8 drivers to tow you around.
Well, if we think of the qualifying time that Theo had actually put up, he had done a 1:26. But I'm pretty sure that these guys are going to be close into the 125s. Well, Dirkie's a little bit wide. I'm sure that's going to give him a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, but I checked on that back straight, the slowdown actually go away, even if you do get it.
Oh, really?
I think that Janetta is too slow down the straight to actually gain time.
To gain an advantage. Oh, dear. So Morris starting to move himself back up the field. You can see he was down in 7th place after that spin there on lap number 2. So he's up into 5th. Rudy's in 6th with Gavin and down in 7th place.
Just a big thanks to the drivers helping us out to get the lobby fuller.
So thanks Jacques very much for your message. He said yes, it's very slippery and the curb actually pulls you off the track. He did exactly the same thing as Marius, then had to pit, and the low pressure definitely does help. So Jacques, what tire pressure were you running for this track?
142 at the front and 140 at the rear. And during the race, it went up to about, say, 2 bars, 198, 2 bars, all around.
Okay. So let's see, the guys have completed their second lap, so they're now on lap number 3. You can see 225s for the top 3 guys, and Theo at 226.2, so he is going faster than his qualifying time. So he definitely is getting the advantage from being towed around by Dirkie.
Yeah. Ash must have made a mistake.
Yeah, because if you're looking at that that time, he was just within a second. But
under a second, yeah.
He's dropped over a second now. So to the guys who have just joined us on the stream, if you are out there, just give us a hello, drop us a message, let us know which of the drivers that you are supporting for this race. Currently we have 3, I could say, valid drivers or unvalid drivers, and 4 championship drivers. We've had some support from the Bravo tier guys coming into this race just to help us out. And I must say that these guys are keeping it nice and close for us, so at least the commentating is a lot more interesting than just following 4 guys around the track. Well, that looked like Dirkie went a little bit wide there, so I'm sure Theo's going to be relishing at the opportunity to start closing that gap on him now.
I know when we practiced, Dirkie actually was struggling with this corner he's coming up to now. As soon as the tires start hitting up, he would starting to lose the rear.
Yeah. So I see that Nassif Benjamin, he's jumped onto the stream. And Nassif, how's it? Welcome to the live stream. We have been chatting on our Facebook. We definitely want to get you racing with us. So as soon as you've got a gap, come and join us. Theo running a little bit wide there into turn number 19. That's not what he wanted, because he needed to get a good exit. Oh. Was that a little bit of...
Yeah, I think he's taking a slowdown
penalty because turn number 19, the slowdown out there is very unforgiving.
I see Ash posted the fastest lap so far, 224.6. Okay, Jake's went quicker now.
And unfortunately, Ash starting to lose a little bit of time onto Jake, so he'll end up losing 0.5 of a second. And Morris, he's starting to find his pace. That's a 225.5, so he's doing about the same time as Ashley now. So I'm sure he's going to start closing that gap up on Theo in the next 4 to 5 laps. And that is Jake's into the wall, coming out of a turn number 9. That is exactly, we were talking about that earlier on. We saw Dane do that. So that is now Theo moving up into 3rd place. So now, do you think that Jake's will go in and repair that? Because that does look like that's quite a bit of damage. That's actually more damage than I've seen.
Because on this track with front end damage, with the heat in the front tires, it's actually turning in more difficult even.
Because all you're doing is you're turning in, but you're just scrubbing all that speed and generating heat at the same time. So we can see that the fog has now cleared itself away. And Dirkie, he's now closed himself up onto the back of Ash. So Ashley's now going to have Dirkie to contend with in the next couple of corners. It all depends on what these guys are doing. Oh, much quicker line there for Dirkie coming through turn number 18. So and now going up the hill, Durkee got a great exit there, so he will definitely get the advantage of that slipstream. Durkee will now move to the inside, but as his cars will start going up the hill, we'll see that the revs do start running out. Durkee just tucks in behind Ashley, just realizing that he's not actually fighting him for a place, but rather just take it easy and just enjoy the racing here this evening.
But sometimes you do forget that.
No.
Even if it's not your lobby.
No, Jacques, 100%. And listen, we're just very thankful that these guys have decided to come and join us. Ash is very wide into 8. Not 8, sorry, that is turn number 4. There's 5. Here into 6, and then the little kink here just before the turn number 8, and that was where Jake's unfortunately right here put it up against the wall.
Whoa, Turkey touched him in the back there.
What's happening now is that Theo, he's actually relishing in this now, because what's happening is he's now starting to close that gap slightly, because he was about 4 seconds behind Ashley. He's now found himself half a second, so he's now closing up that gap. And what I'd really like to see is Theo getting right up behind Ashley, and then have those two really battle it out.
Yeah.
And we see Theo in 3rd place there in the yellow colors. That is the silverback colors is Marius in 4th place. Jake's, he's still out there in 5th place. I think he's just going to want to bring this car home now. But I must say, to drive a damaged car for 28 more minutes is definitely not going to be fun.
That's going to be a long 28 minutes.
And you're going to be wanting more and more out of this car, but it's just not going to be giving you the performance that you want. So that really can be frustrating. But we'll definitely start seeing the difference in the times once Jake's crosses the line, just how he's comparing to the other drivers. Whoa, big slide there for Jake's. Will give you an 8 out of 10 for that. There wasn't enough wheel spin on the recovery, but thanks very much, Jake's. Glad that we got that. There's the seat. Durkee's now moved himself into 1st place, but has got himself a time penalty for his troubles. Just message there from Nassif Benjamin saying thanks, you definitely will do as soon as I'm ready. Well, we will be here racing, so as soon as you're ready, Nassif, come and join us and we'll get you racing. So now into this hairpin turn number 11. Jacques, were you able to get the advantage of the slipstream down this back straight?
I think in the opening lap behind Andrew, and then Andrew made a little mistake on this corner at the bottom. I think he ran wide or accelerated quickly, because I remember I overtaken him on the outside. But yeah, that's the only time I actually had some slipstream was in the opening lap.
Because I know in some of the practices the guys were saying that the slipstream advantage is massive, but when we were actually watching the stream, is that you get to a point where you both run out of revs and neither one of the cars are actually getting an advantage anymore.
I think it's 207 kilometers an hour max. That's basically what a Group 5 does, almost in 2nd or 3rd gear. So.
And I think that's what my car does in 4th gear. I'm not quite sure, but I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, then we can
I just need to find a closed and secure environment before I do so. Don't go racing on the street, guys. That is not legal. So across the line we can just start looking at some of the lap comparisons. So actually losing just under 2 seconds there against Durkee, and Theo and Ashley now doing very similar times, and that's Marius. He's now starting to close that gap. He's closed an additional second on Theo there, so he will start getting himself up behind behind Theo pretty shortly. Oh, that's Jake's now deciding not going to be driving the car in that state. He's now moved into the pits. So Rudy now moves up into 5th place, but he too has a penalty to his name. So Morris did go 1 second quicker than Theo, and there's Jace in the pits.
Okay, he's busy repairing.
And it looks like Ashley is actually closing the gap now on Durkee, because he was 1.7 seconds, he's now almost got it to a second. Through turn
the gap
number
between
13.
Between Ash and Theo is basically still the same.
Yeah, if you look at their lap times, they are doing just about the same lap time.
Yeah.
And I must say, there's nothing more frustrating than you put in such a good lap time, you look up at that lap time and you see that the guy in front of you did the same lap, so you've got to repeat that all over again. So a 3-minute 56 for Jakes. That was an extremely damaged car. So that is Ashley, who's now got himself a time penalty. So he's still pushing extremely hard, trying to close that gap up onto Durkee. But Ashley did a 2:31, so he's now lost some ground against Durkee. And Theo a 2:26.4, so I thought that he would actually gain some time on Ashley, but unfortunately it's not really showing in the time.
Yeah, about 600s.
So from that angle it does look like going through turn number 4 that the guys are wider, but it actually isn't, because I do remember that I do take that quite wide. I then drop down into 3rd gear, get the power back on to set myself up for 5, flat out through 5, and then a nice little entry into 6. That is Ashley on Durkee, so Ashley starting to put a lot of pressure. Oh, Ashley jumped on the brakes. He was definitely carrying a lot more speed through turn number 11 than Durkee was. And you can see how much of a gap that Durkee's actually opened up from him. And that is all because Ashley needed to just hit the brakes on the exit of that apex. See both of those drivers taking a little bit of that inside curb, and I was definitely staying away from it.
Yeah, sorry for being so quiet, I'm just busy eating my ice cream. So
does it have chocolate sauce?
No.
Right. So Jacques, while you're eating your ice cream, if you could just use your right hand just to go down into 3rd place. I just want to see Marius and Theo, because Marius is starting to close that gap on him. So in the next, I'd say 2 to 3 laps, Marius is going to be right up behind him, and he should be able to start making an attack. And Jake's really not having a good time, because we can see his next lap out a 2:37.0. So I'm just thinking that that actually might be on the exit of the pits. So we'll monitor his lap time for the next one to see whether he will actually be able to close that gap down on Gavin.
Yeah, I think his pit crew was quite surprised to see him back on track. So
So Theo now are going through turn number 6. Then up through the little kinky at turn number 7, and I must say that's probably one of my favorite corners, because you get a little bit wider into turn number 6, you tighten up and you get that straight line, and the car just seems to just float through turn 7, and as it just floats to the exit on that curve on the outside, it's really such a great feeling.
I think my favorite parts were just getting on the straights again. So
it's all about the rhythm, Shark.
I know, and I don't have that for this track. It's definitely not a Donington.
No, I can vouch for that. But I am definitely looking forward to Monday night when we have the start of our Group 5 Championship in the BMW 320 Turbo. Myself and Jakes will be teaming up, so unfortunately we won't have a stream, but I will be putting together a few little highlights reels of what actually happened in that race, because those are really some brutal cars.
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see what will happen.
So Jacques, we are now past halfway of this race, and the front 4 guys are staying pretty much together with Marius. He's currently going the fastest out of the 4. How bad are these tires actually feeling now?
Yeah, up to now I think the track temperature was around about 40 something, so it's still fine. I swear from the last 10 minutes then it's actually more hectic, because it is 60 degrees on the track, and through every corner the temperature just rises over 100 on the front tires. So yeah.
And that inside section, so turn 16, 17 and 18, does that outside left really start cooking there?
Not as much as through this little twisties. On my car it was really overheating through this twisties, I don't know why. At one stage I was running I think 112 degrees on the left front.
So the battle for a 2nd, 3rd and 4th place is definitely heating up, because that there in shot is Ashley, Theo and Marius. So Dirk is away by nearly 5 seconds. And just remember, the 2 guys that you're seeing in screen, that is the 1st and 2nd place in this championship. Marius, who's currently in 4th, is not entered in the championship, but he has been invited to come and join us just to help us get some drivers in this lobby. But our eyes will be on Theo and Ashley. Great shots on the bumper going into turn number 12. This is also quite a nice track. If you get it right, you can see how the car just bit there for Ashley, so he had to get a little bit of counter lock, and that ran him a little bit wide. Very different lines for the 2 drivers. And I must say, looking at the qualifying times to the pace that the guys are doing now, this has definitely been Ashley's race to lose, because he was right up there in the 2:24s was his lap time, but now circulating at 2:30. Theo's doing a little bit slower than his qualifying time, but he's being consistent, which is really mounting this pressure here on Ashley. So Ashley is the one who's now feeling the heat, because he's the one who should actually be going faster.
Yeah, I think maybe Few's setup is suiting the hotter track better than Ashley's setup.
So we see Ashley the slowest out of the three, Theo the fastest, and Marius nearly half a second quicker than Ashley. So if he doesn't get a hurry on now, is that he's going to have both Theo and Marius coming past him soon. So 15 minutes left of this race, and if you've just joined us, Dirkie, he leads. He is in the Alpha tier, but he is helping us with numbers. He's currently leading with Ashley. He's in second place, who's actually first in the championship points. Theo is currently third, but second in the championship points. Then we have Marius, he's in fourth. We have Rudy, who's essentially in third place, with Gavin in fourth, and Jakes. He caught himself the curb coming out of a turn number 9 and put himself into the wall, so he had to go into the pits and has found himself repairing, and unfortunately way down in a 7th position. So in a shot, this was Rudy. Apologies, Gavin in 6th place.
Sorry, Dylan.
Geen probleem. Of dit is nie 'n probleem nie. And I have been told I speak Afrikaans like an English person.
Yeah, but sometimes it does sound right. It's almost like my English. So.
Like if I say teenoorgestelde, that sounded very Afrikaans, right?
Teenoorgestelde. Dat klinkt beter.
Okay, mooi man. So that is Jake's. Jake's finishing second in the Alpha tier. A little mistake from Christopher, who was fighting very hard with Jake's. Landed up losing it going through turn number 4, lighting up the tires and allowing Jake's to go past. So Jake's was very happy with that as second place. And Theo is right behind. Well, that's Dirkie losing the rear, so those tires starting to heat up now. So the guys are really going to be battling it out. And we can see that battle for second, third, and fourth is very tight. Less than a second between those three drivers. So Jacques, that was a hint to please just jump back to Theo so we can see what's happening with those three. So Marius that time round, he was the quickest, then Theo, then Ashley. So Ashley really struggling, awful little sideways action there for Ashley, and this is what is going to now make or break this actual race between these guys, is who's going to be able to manage those tires better. So approaching turn number 11. And Theo sucking in behind him. I thought he actually got a better exit. But Theo will now get that slipstream. But not only that, Marius will get the advantage of having two cars in front of him. So he should be going even faster. But as Jacques had mentioned earlier, is that the cars run out of revs as you get closer and closer to the end of the straight. So a great action here for these three drivers with just on 11 minutes to go. So 5 laps of this race left. And Ashley is struggling to get that power down. You can see that he had another little moment where the car oversteered. So he unfortunately had to go a little bit wider. Out of a turn number 18 into a turn number 19, and no drivers taking the inside curb. We saw a lot of the Alpha guys were getting on the inside curb there, Jacques, on turn number 19. Jake's even on turn number 20, he was getting right up onto that curb, and I see that you were staying away from it, as are these three guys.
Yeah, that Hot Wheels corner Even
So-
if you touch the outside, then you get
Theo
it wrong.
moving to the inside. Will Ashley see him coming? Yes, Ashley does. It allows the space. Theo moves up the place, and Amarius will now move himself ahead. But Ashley will have the inside coming into turn number 2. They're going to be a side by side. Too wide into turn 3, and that's
Oh,
not what we wanted to
touch.
see. Little touch between Morris and Ashley.
Yeah. No, that's unfortunate.
I'm just not sure whether either one of the drivers knew that the other was so close.
Mario's giving the position back. But yeah, I don't know whether Ash sustained maybe some damage.
Because I did see he went into the wall backwards, so I'd rather have some rear suspension damage than front suspension, because at least you're able to control the front. So we
there's
are seeing
definitely damage at the back.
some damage there, but you can, the car does look like it's running straight. No, there's definitely some left and right action there happening. So all Ashley needs to do now, he has 8 minutes, so 4
No, he's
laps.
still got a top end.
So he's not being hampered by the straight line speed, which is good to see. So he should be able to just push through here and get this car to the end.
I think that left-right action is just to get his action right again for that sweeps coming up. Get himself in the rhythm again.
Because now what will happen is that right rear will be sitting a lot lower, so the car's definitely going to have a better squat going through there, so he might actually go quicker. And
even if you touch this outside curb on the braking, you're sideways coming up.
Yeah, we saw that little power slide there by Jake, so definitely know that that is possible. So actually definitely not having any problems with the straight line speed. You can see how Morris was struggling to close him down there.
Yeah.
But this is the test now for Ashley, that will he be able to get the car through here without too much hassle. You can see Morris is a lot quicker, so Morris actually taking him up on the inside there through turn number 4. Through turn 5 you can see now Morris a lot more confident through the corners. And Dirkie seems to have found his rhythm once again, because he's doing 226.8, and Theo missed the consistency. Oh, I thought for a second the camera stopped that we don't know where he is. We've probably lost him. But Theo doing the 227s, Marius a 234 with a little tangle up between himself and Ashley. Rudy 240, so he too is struggling at the moment. Gavin 237, and Jake's he's circulating in 7th place with a 226.8. So as the drivers currently stand, it will be Theo that will score the most points, with Ashley down in 4th place, but actually a 2nd in the champion scoring positions. Then Rudy will take the next podium with Gavin in 4th place. Turn number 20. We have 5 minutes left. And as Marius and Ashley across the line, Ashley is a second slower than Marius. So I think it's definitely just part of that confidence now.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes to go, and you can see
Almost.
the tyres are now properly heated up, but he manages to keep it off the wall. But Ashley, all I can say is don't spin it up here on the tyre. You're just going to make them red, and then you definitely aren't going to be getting this car to the end of the race without any problems.
Oh, well, he should just sit it out. He's second, so rather take the points than damaging your car further.
Yep. But that definitely is a choice that you need to make, is that do I want to prove a point that I can actually catch Marius, or just sit back and take the points? I know as much as you know that I would be chasing you down.
No, it's when we were racing, I thought I saw maybe the light at the end of the tunnel. When I checked, Christopher is like 4 seconds in front of me. So, but yeah.
Ooh, little twitch there by Theo. And after Christopher made the little that second mistake, that both myself and Ashley were saying that, ooh, now that Jacques is within 4 seconds, that if Christopher makes another mistake, that could be Jacques up back into the podium. And I'm sure you would have liked another podium.
Yeah, why not? Then it would be, I think, my 4th in a row. So.
Okay, 3 minutes left, guys, so we will have 2 laps of this race. Dirkie, he currently leads with Theo second, Morris is third, Ashley's in fourth with Rudy fifth, Gavin sixth, and Jake's down in 7th place. And I see Jake's hasn't really been able to get out of those 227s. He's kind of stuck there. So he's about 2 seconds slower now in this race than he was in his previous one.
I think with this little car, if you're not in the mix, then your pace are down drastically. I've seen it last night while we were practicing. As soon as you just sit behind someone, then you do lacquer lap times. But yeah, if you're all by yourself, then it's difficult to get even into low 25s or high 25s.
And now that you're talking about last night, I actually forgot that my PlayStation did its own little restart there. And I actually don't even think of it. And now that I think about it, I realize I should actually have been anxious for this today, but I didn't even think about it. So thanks very much, Jacques. Because when I did disconnect, I was leading that little race. I don't know if you remember that.
I think you were, 6 seconds ahead. So
I hope you guys out there are listening to that.
Oh, I think all the guys behind you had like 20-second penalties. So.
And you say that to me with a straight face, Jacques. So we have less than, I was going to say a minute and a half, but then that is true. So almost a minute to go. So we will have one more lap of this race. But that is Ashley, you put up a valiant effort. Unfortunately, him and Morris had a little tangle. You can see the damage on the side. And it was through turn number 4 where Ashley went into the wall backwards. A little bit of looks like rear suspension damage on the right rear, and he lost the car once again going through turn number 4 about 2 laps later. So he's unfortunately dropped further down. So that is Ashley coming Oh, that there is Jake's, not Ashley anymore. Jake's, because I was say he should be coming through approaching turn number 1, and then all of a sudden that looked like turn number 7. So thank you for that, Jacques.
Sorry, man. It's difficult to stand with that heavy equipment on my shoulder in one turn the whole time.
No, I really appreciate your drone work that you're doing here, and you quickly jump to check the other car coming. Much appreciated. So that is Theo, who's currently second in this race, but will take the maximum points for the championship drivers. So that is Theo and Morris coming out of turn number 11 for the last time down this extremely long back straight. And if you look at the layout of the track, it reminds me of those old school bicycle spanners that you used to buy, which used to have all the different pieces around it. Every time I see this track layout, I think of that bicycle spanner. Oh, you can see it now. Now it can never be unseen.
I think that section they went through now looks almost like the part that you usually adjust your spokes.
That's the one,
that
that
small piece.
That little piece, yeah.
That piece is almost like the nut of the front wheel.
It's a size 15, isn't it? Or size 13, I think.
Yeah,
So
usually
that is Theo
14 on
some of the old school.
Might just jump there to Dirkie.
So that is Dirkie. He will cross the line in first place. Well done, Dirkie. And second will be Theo, followed by Marius. But Theo will take maximum points here for the race this evening. Ashley will come through turn number 20 for his last time, and I'm sure he'll be very happy to get this car home. Little wiggle and a jive, so Ashley will take second place. That is, Rudy will be the third place driver, that he is now further down, coming through turn number 7. Number 11, not 7. And you can see
there by the spoke turn.
Yep. That's exactly what we were speaking about earlier. Okay, that was a very bad joke. I apologize. I'll take that one back, guys. That was terrible, terrible, terrible. So this is turn number 16. You can see that every now and again it looks like Rudy does a full lock. That, just remember, Rudy actually drives on a controller. So that was turn number 19. So Rudy comes home in 5th place, but technically on the podium in 3rd. I'm sure he'll be happy with that, to start closing that gap down on Gavin. There's a Gavin currently in 6th place, beating Jake's, and I'm sure he'll have that one where he can put it in his cap.
Beating Jake's.
Because you know what they say, looking at the lap times,
the
there's Jacques.
fastest doesn't always win.
Thank you very much. The fastest doesn't always win. Alright, Jacques, I don't know if you want to join me in the lobby. So just change my settings here to game. Just give the guys just a few seconds just to compose themselves, and we will go in 3, 2, 1.
I couldn't do anything else but lift, so you can go in front of me.
Thank you very much, guys. That was pretty interesting to watch. You're currently live on the stream. to Jake's, Dirkie and Morris, thank you very much for filling the gap. It definitely did make the race a little bit more interesting. We'll start off with you, Rudy. You were further down the field, but for this championship you end up getting yourself in third place ahead of Gavin. Are you happy with that result?
Yeah, very happy. Just a pity that some of the guys didn't show up. But still, hard race, tough track. But yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. And then Ashley, unfortunately yourself and Morris, a little tangle up there. From where we were, it just looked like neither one of you were just quite sure of how close the other was.
My tyres had started going off, and I had made a couple of mistakes earlier in the race, and that allowed Theo and Morris to catch me. Yeah, and I also had a time penalty, so there was no ways I could even if I finished ahead of Theo somehow miraculously, I would have been demoted. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
And then Theo, so you land up finishing second in the race, a really great effort for you, but that is maximum points for you in the championship.
Yeah, you know what, I've looked after my tires in the beginning because I knew out of practice going to struggle in the end if you push the car too hard. I did push quite hard, but yeah, it was quite an interesting race.
And then yourself, Morris, we saw that little spin that you had coming into turn number 4, and you managed to put your head down and actually end up getting yourself third overall.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised actually. But I decided not to push, you know, so I have tires in the end.
Yeah.
So when I was behind people, I didn't try and pass them. I just sat there and hoped they would push, you know, so they could eat their tires up. I pulled the jakes on them.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked once or twice, but you know, with other guys it didn't work. They just stuck to their lines. But it was cool. It was very cool.
So
yeah.
Morris, are you saying that
actually?
Morris, are you saying that you are starting to understand what this Mamba fever is?
Oh no, but I've long experience of Mamba fever.
And then Dirkie, this race, did you feel that this was a little bit of redemption for your first race, actually landing up finishing first overall?
Yeah, it was nice in the beginning. There was like a dices over there, and I was actually trying to sit behind Slosh to give him a run for his money, but unfortunately there was a couple of mistakes, and then I just decided, okay, I'm going to put my head down a bit.
Yeah.
And then I also had a 3-second penalty, so I had to keep him at about 4 seconds, you know. And then after Theo came past, then he was a bit faster, and I had to push a little bit harder. To,
we did manage to see your
4 seconds. Yeah.
We did catch your little spin coming out of turn. It's a turn number 9. With the smoke went up, so we did catch you there.
But I had a couple of moments, to be honest. But yeah, well, it turned out not to be too bad. I didn't hit the wall, so no damage. I was really lucky over there.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much for helping us out,
well
and to the guys out on the stream, thank you very much for watching. And just remember that this live stream is made possible by Metal State and SARCO. I mean, Metal State and Thrustmaster. SARCO is the
thanks
provider.
for those guys.
Guys, thank you very much. We will see you.
I tried my best to catch Theo, eh? Yes, like it,
Thanks,
but I just couldn't.
Guys, we'll see you
I just
next
couldn't
week.
get into
Next week, Thursday, we do head off to the Bruno track, 40 minutes, where we'll have light cloud, medium cloud, heavy cloud, and overcast, so the complete opposite. That will start at 8 o'clock next week, Thursday. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, yo.
Thanks a lot.
Yos.
Thanks.